welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And the person I have on the channel with me is basically joining in a very elite group of people on Magic TV. He's only the second person that's had more than one Talk Magic interview. He's my favorite person in the whole world. I love him to bits. He is an incredible creator. He's released some of the best-selling magic tricks throughout his career. All he's ever done his entire life is create magic for himself or other people. He's the most creative person I know. And I am, of course, talking about the one and only Lloyd Barnes.
I could have said exactly the same thing about you. I love you to bits. My favorite person in the world, most creative person I know. Created all your life, like creator of the year, officially, multiple places. It's Craig Patty.
Okay, yeah, I'll accept that. But you, and the reason I wanted to get you on the channel is because you, the way that I create is the same way that you hear a lot of creators talk about creating. You know, I've spoken to people like Scott Alexander. I've spoken to people like Dave Loosely, Kyle Purnell. They've all done like talks on creativity, and they all talk about how it's a long process and it's about getting the idea. Now, whether it was through Enigma or it was through Ellusionist or now with Murphy's, you've created some of the best-selling tricks of all time. That, I know you're a very humble guy and you don't like to take praise. That's a fact. Like the best-selling trick of all time, Lux, Lloyd Barnes. The best-selling
time yet, but
the best-selling
launch.
the best-selling app of all time at Murphy's, Cognito. Like the stuff that you put together at Illusionist, sold absolute bucket loads. Like, but it's really about your YouTube channel, because on your YouTube channel, you're creating like 2 or 3 things every single week. And you've told me in the past that you don't put any thought into that. Like you literally challenge yourself to create something within an hour. And anybody who's subscribed to your YouTube channel will know that the stuff you're putting on there isn't shit. It's like amazing. And it's all so eclectic. And what I mean by that is you'll have a coin vanish, then you'll have a really cool card swipe, then you'll have some sort of fucking ridiculous, insane gimmick. You've always got something that's so completely different. And I watch your channel religiously and I look at the stuff and I'm like, I couldn't have created that. Because a lot of the time I'm creating like a routine, but you're creating this gimmick out of nothing. And it normally you spend like an hour. So the way you create is very different to anyone else I've spoken to. And you're creating more than most other people, because most creators will create for a project they're releasing. There's very few people that have a YouTube channel where they're putting themselves into a situation where every week they've got to create 2 new items, really.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
doing it. Like how I genuinely don't get how you do that.
I mean, it's the same with your work ethic though. I don't know how you like film for 4 days at a time, run this channel, the NETRIX and things. I don't know if there's a reasoning for like, or explanation to how. It's just sort of, it's just being interested in a lot of magic, I think. Like that's one part of it. I like a lot of magic where some people ask, you know, they do a lot of say card flourishing, and then they ask me how to create like gimmicks. And because they spent all their time thinking about card flourishing, their brain's not sort of opened up to that sort of field yet. Like I really love classic magic, the classics of magic. And a bunch of other things. I don't know how to explain it. I've always done it. Like when I first started my Instagram, it used to be 15 seconds. You could put up a video, and it was more out of necessity, if I'm being completely honest. I'd always have an hour free because I keep myself busy. So I would just create anything it was going to be 9 times out of 10 within that hour, because I didn't have much time else, and I don't want to spend too long on it outside of like family and friends and things. So I think it's really important to live like a balanced life, you know what I mean? So normally it would be like, right, like after this today or tomorrow morning, I'll be shooting Tutorial Tuesday. I think I'm probably going to teach a gimmick this week, because people seem to like on a gimmick thing in a minute. So I haven't got anything in mind. I don't have anything in mind whatsoever. I do have things around me, like, so I'll have my tools that I need and my accessories that I need. And I'll just sit there and play for a while, think about classic effects, think about things that are out there, think about what I don't like about them, think about what I think should be different, maybe think about effects that there are no precedents set for it yet, and then go from there, and just sort of play and get creative. And I think it helps to, I like to try and combine sleight of hand with gimmickry and things. I don't know, it's kind of good to be like, I'm not saying I'm a good magician, but it's kind of good to have like a bit of an all-round knowledge in everything. And then when you start to play and become creative and playful with stuff, you can sort of apply different areas to different things, and that crossover leads to something really nice in the middle, like a bit of synergy. Such a weird answer to give.
It is. And I understand where you're coming from, but most creators I've spoken to, or most people that want to create and try to create, the biggest problem that they have is coming up with the initial idea. It's like, how do I come up with that initial idea? But that's something that doesn't seem to even concern you. Like you've just said, I've got no idea. You've got a schedule. You never miss your schedule. If it was me and I knew that tomorrow I had to upload a video on a brand new trick that didn't even exist yet, I would be bricking it. And you don't seem to have that issue at all. And I don't understand how. Like, I genuinely don't get it. I don't get how, like, how do you say, oh, you think about the classics of magic, and I get that, but like, how?
I don't know. I think what it is that I love magic. I love seeing new creations in magic. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's always something good in every idea. Like in every creation, you can see some really bad. I think, I remember people used to talk about this product that came out called like Twix up my sleeve. And it was like literally a plastic chocolate bar of a Twix. And people were so horrendous about it. But I think there is good in that. I think there's good in that idea. And I think more so than anything, I think I'm approaching my creations that I do from a very different angle, I think, to some people. And like I said years ago, I brought out this thing called Change, which was a card gimmick that would change in slow motion like this, right? And at the time, everyone was doing flap cards, and anything that was going to be a color change, like a gimmick color change, was normally done with a flap method. And it made me go ape shit. It made me lose my mind because it was so lazy. And so I released this as a statement to show you could do like incredibly powerful or like almost CGI looking type magic without having to use the same methods as everybody else. And you'll see a lot of the magic that I do and I create is very much that. And a lot of it is like I create to make magic statements a lot of the time. And I think when you look at the stuff that I'm putting on my channel, maybe it's not like, I'm fortunate, like people seem to like it and it's blowing my channel up. But not every trick is a good trick. I wouldn't say like every single trick on there you can go out and perform. But what I'm trying to normally do is highlight something about that creation, which people should pay attention to. Not because I created that element of it, but because there's a bigger overall lesson. So, for example, this is just an easy one to show, but with these gimmicks, it was to show that you don't need to use flaps to do visual color changes. And the moment you step outside of it, outside of the old walls, is when you go into greener pastures. Because I used to say, like, I used to handle the submissions at a magic company, and people would send stuff in, and then I have quite a good foundation of magic product knowledge, and I would say, oh, unfortunately, this has been done and released before. Here's the citation for it. And some people will come back so angry and almost to the point of dismissive, like they were infuriated that I could even say that to them, and this is their creation, and yeah, it might have been done before, but they actually handle it with their pinky curled to the side, and for me, I would always find, I think that was the worst response, because brilliant, fantastic, thank God you didn't let me release it and see that it's been done before then, and thank God now I know that other people have thought that way, which means it's not that creative because other people are thinking about it too. So I need to do something new. And when you go and dip into new areas and new ideas, that's when you end up finding yourself with ideas that haven't been done before. And then you have this like sort of blue ocean territory where maybe just the idea itself is just a basic spark, but because no one's touched it before, you've got so much room and scope to play that you can do anything. So like Lux was a prime example. I couldn't find anything like that, around. And so like it went on that field. So I do a lot of things. I try to do a lot of things like that. And mainly, I'm sorry, the point I'm getting to is when I'm creating magic on the channel and made, like, for example, I put this thing up on there, right? Where is it? Is it here? So I made this. Now, ironically, this is something I made on the day of the filming, but the idea had sort of, the idea had sat at the back of my head for many years, but it never became to fruition. But so the idea is this. I don't know if you can see. So I put a Sharpie. Let's see if I can stand up. Sharpie in through a card and then move it out. Okay. Now there's an old Tenyo trick which is called the move-in hole, and that is a card with a hole in it, or sorry, a big sheet of yellow plastic. There's a hole in it, and the magician, it's a Hideo Kato creation, puts the pen in the hole, moves around the board, and then when he pulls the pen out of a different section, the hole is moved. Right. It's great effect. I love that. The premise of it has stuck with me for years, is why I was inspired by this. But for me personally, it didn't make sense in the real world, because without giving away the method, the pen is gimmicked and so is the board, right? And then there's been other releases like it, where you do it with a playing card like this and a Sharpie, and again, the Sharpie is gimmicked and the card, which means when you're going to really perform it, right? So you're going to perform the trick, the Sharpie moves through the card. The moment when somebody is going to reach for something, you can't offer them anything because that's gimmicked and they'll find it. So the Sharpie's gimmicked and the card is gimmicked.
Yeah.
And I always thought that it also sort of looked like the method is exactly what it is as well, with the Hideo Kato version and the other versions. So my thinking behind this was to make the statement of, if you're going to want to achieve that effect, you can still do the effect of a card of a Sharpie moving through a card, but by making one thing not gimmicked, now you have this much more practical real world application where you can perform it as I hand the one object out or back, because it can be borrowed. Now I just do the move, which everyone knows, which you have to do in the original ones anyway, which has to be done anyway. So you're still got to do that move, but because this is the only gimmick now, the card is the only gimmick, it means that everything should look much more natural and motivated. There's a bit of sound there, but you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So again, this gimmick was a magic statement that you can achieve. If the statement in this case was you can replicate good ideas or good pieces of magic, but by changing them, you can make them more practical. So that's like an idea of another statement again. So oftentimes the reason, so I'd say then the reason I can create so easily is because I'm not necessarily always thinking about making great magic, but I'm thinking about, or great creations, I'm thinking more about the reason why I've chosen to create this piece that way. So like that, the prime example of that pen is because the existing methods out there didn't make sense to me, and I feel they could be improved, but without losing anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then this is like the death to flap cards in a way, not the death to them, but to show that once you step outside of your comfort zone. Then another thing I was playing with the other day, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but I wanted to have this idea of like a gimmick that would, I don't know if it's working very well. This is such a bad prototype, but again, if you are going to use existing methods, let me see if I can make this work a bit better. Then you can, if you change them up a bit, you can make things look more visual.
Wow.
In a way. So this is like a flap card, but by using it in different context to normal, it's not very good. But it's just the idea you can like touch it like a paintbrush and it would dab.
Cool. That is very cool.
But so just taking things and just like, so in this case, this is taking a flap principle, right? Just flap principle, but applying it differently. And now, obviously, this is a really badly made prototype. This is literally the first one. But by changing the approach to using a method, again, continue different areas. So this would probably, a video like this for me, if I get it, if I make the prototype look right and I get a nice performance, this would blow up, this type of video. I know this would go up and get, 30,000 views in a week. But it's not necessarily a good trick. And it's not necessarily a good gimmick, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't release this, but the lesson behind it would be, in this case, would be teaching people that, okay, say you do want to make a flap gimmick, think about changing the way you utilize it, or apply it to something. I'm not necessarily every video creating good tricks, but the deeper reasoning behind it is what I focus on, and that sort of frees me up creatively.
Well, on that subject, you mentioned about releasing products. There's incredible, exceptional magicians out there that are just really good at performing, but have never been able to create anything. Perfect example, my friend and your friend, Nemid Phoenix, one of the best sleight of hand artists I've ever seen, but never created anything. He's tried, and it's just not kind of something that he gravitates to, really, although I know that he's working on stuff at the moment. But by the by, you're creating stuff all of the time. There's going to be people that watch your channel and look at some of the stuff that you're giving away for free, and they're thinking, wow, that if I came up with that, that would be a product. I'll be on the phone to Murphy's or Penguin or Alakazam, and I'll be going, hey, I've got, like, how do you decide whether something ends up on your YouTube channel or something ends up as a product? Like, you know, why didn't you take Lux and go, okay, well, Lux is a bad example because it's so well, you know, it's a Acme hole. That's one that you're really well known for. How did that become a product as opposed to a tutorial? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I actually, looking at it now, I wouldn't have released Acme Hole as a product.
Okay.
Looking back. The real simple thing for me is that the products that I release are because you can't go and make them at home. So Lux, you can't make it at home. I mean, one or two electric whiz kids could make one, you know, themselves, but you know what I mean? Like, you can't go and make that at home. Same as like Cognito, you can't make that at home. You gotta get it. And I think, so the real thing is, like, it's basically, I want to give away these ideas and concepts. Some of them are not fully fleshed out, but they're just deeper lessons in magic within them. And if you can make it yourself, then for me, I think, like, most of the time, then if it's my idea, I'm happy to teach it, you know. It's a tricky one, but like, yeah, Acme Hole would have been a prime example. I would have put that, if I hadn't released it before. I thought a 2.0 version, which happens in slow motion on the channel anyway, so people can learn that on there. But yeah, I don't know. It's for me. Yeah, if I can just make it out of scraps in my office, then I don't want to sell it as a product.
Okay, so here's the question: for people that are watching this, that want to become a creator in magic, you're in a very unique position because you're in the creative team at Murphy's. So you are one of the people that has a say on whether somebody will get their product released at Murphy's. But also you create your own material as well, both marketed through Murphy's and in the past various other companies. And also you create your own stuff to put on your channel. Somebody who's watching this, I know of several people that I speak to on a regular basis that are desperate to be creators and become like the next Greg Wilson or the next Jay Sankey. What do they need to do? What's the first steps? Is it because a lot of people want to rush into, right, I've got an idea, I'm going to contact Penguin. Should they do that, or should they take the approach that you're doing where it's like, hey, let me show you some of my cool stuff and put it on YouTube? What advice would you give somebody who wants to be a creator in this industry? Because genuinely, Lloyd, I don't think there's many people that are as uniquely positioned as you to be able to offer advice on this subject.
It depends on when they say, it's such a broad thing, but like, I want to be like the next Greg Wilson. What was the other names you named?
Oh, Jay Sankey, you know.
Jay Sankey and stuff. Because for me, I don't lecture. You know, I turn down every lecture I'm asked. I don't want to travel the world lecturing and performing magic that I create like that. I very much wanted to work within the industry of creating magic. It's what my hobby is. I like design. I like designing packaging. I like designing the product. I like the creative side of all that. So for me, the advice for doing that is very different to if somebody wants to be like the next rock star creator, where they're not employed by a company. They just want to be known. Like, for example, like a Wayne Houchin, you know. But I'd say the best thing to do is, it's different times. Like, I mean, when I was coming up in the industry, you would make an effect and you'd perform it like on I don't know, you would send it to magic companies, or you'd go to conventions and show people, and the word would spread about it. You put it on forums and stuff. Now, you know, there's like TikTok and things, but I suppose mainly it's about, I see the magic industry in one way as the music industry, where like if somebody's expecting to release a trick, because you will get tricks that make like 50 $100,000 for the artist per year if they were like releasing it with a company, and their royalties will cut them that sort of check. But they're few and far between. It is only for the upper top tier effects, you know. But I see it as in music in a way, as in like when you release your trick, you release it almost as a single for an artist, and then you use that to promote yourself to the magic realm and go off and lecture and tour with a lecture. You know, if you have a handful of good products and go and do that. So that's one way of doing it, is just like sort of just getting your name out there to release. I mean, that doesn't really answer the question though, does it? It doesn't really answer the question. I mean, Jackie Yu is a great example. He just went on Instagram and just started showing people his creative routines, and just, if it's good, it'll get recognition. I mean, the thing is, if you've got it, people will sort of, this has always been my thing in a way, is that they'll book you.
Yeah.
You know, if just keep doing what you're doing. Don't be forceful. Don't try and tell people your ideas are good. Don't tell people how it's going to be the next best thing. Don't tell people that you're going to be great. I've seen people take that approach, and I've seen people fail with that approach, and also then they seem to fail twice as hard. Just do you. Obviously, the day and age that we live in now, not production quality, but like being able to film yourself on video is at least one skill that everyone should be able to do, right? Find good lighting, put your phone somewhere solid, or have someone hold it steadily. Got to be able to do that. The other big important thing is that people don't realize is you'll get far by just being good, right? You'll get far by just being good, but you'll get a lot further if you can communicate well. So if people like you, like, read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a masterclass on how to, like, you see these CEOs and top heads of companies. They're not the smartest guy in the room. They're not the ones who can create or come up with the ideas. They're normally the people that have networked their way to the top, because they're great people to be around. They're very social in a way. So I always thought that make sure you've got good communication. I mean, even like with a basic emails or messaging, always be friendly, always be polite. I mean, just be a friendly person. You shouldn't not be a friendly person anyway. But if I've got two creators and I can't decide which one's better, I'm just saying, like, as an objective thing, not that I'm doing this, but one of them, I would reach out maybe, or they're chatting, like, I want to release my product. One's telling me this is going to be the best product on earth, da, 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 da. And this guy's like, hey, super friendly, very well spoken, calm, collective, understands what he's talking about. And they both got the same, maybe they both got exactly the same release, right? The same trick. Let's just hypothetically got the same trick. But this person, you know, they've got good communication skills. They put a little bit of effort into their social appearance, as in like maybe their branding. How do they understand who they are as a magician and what they're trying to broadcast? Versus this person who's just got the good trick. Well, then everyone is going to be more inclined to want to work with this person. So if you are trying to make it big in the industry, it's not just about your creation. It's not just about that. If you want to make it big, I mean, right? It's about every other detail that comes with it. And it's about having a bit of a plan as well. Like I set myself a goal of what I wanted to achieve. And actually, like, when I set the goal, I achieved it quickly. Years and years ago, it got me to where I am today. But it wasn't until I realized I needed that goal that I realized that I could achieve it. I had set out to actively target that thing. And I have many, many goals. Relentless is the word I keep coming back to. People ask me, like, how I end up where I am and how I create these things. And like the same, I take very much the same approach with creating magic too. I'm relentless with it. So if I want to be somewhere with my career, like I am now, I'm relentless to get here. And same with creations. If I want to create something in my mind, like I want to make it look like a coin is slowly melting through the deck, I'm not going to settle for any old method. I'm going to relentlessly create and hope that I find that my first idea has been done before, and then my second idea has been done before, and then my fourth idea and fifth idea and seventh, 10th, and whatever, because I'll be relentless. I'll be the one that outlasts you in that race to get there to the finish line of having a new idea. It may not be the best idea, but I'll be relentless in my pursuit to find something that works for me, because I want to make a statement with it. And the same with where I want to be as a creator in the industry. So I set myself a goal and I wanted to be where I am, and I am here, you know? So setting yourself goals, targets, and being relentless, being able to last longer in the race than other people. Some people just skyrocket to the top, right? And for every one magician that does, I always, for me, it was always like Wayne Houch in my head. I always see him just like explode onto the scene out of nowhere. And so, like that happens in the music industry as well, right? You see somebody just explode onto the scene out of nowhere, but for every one superstar that gets given like the magic, golden buzzer. Not to say that they don't work hard for it.
Oh yeah.
But there's 10,000 other creators that are not going to be there. But it's the ones that keep pushing and keep striving and be relentless. And you're going to get a lot more setbacks than you are successes. But the successes, if you've got what it takes, because some people are not going to be creative. I'm never going to be a good performer. I'm never going to be a good performer. I own that, right? There was times when I wanted to do performing, but it's not for me. I can accept that fact. And some people, as much as they desperately want to be creators, they're not going to be creators. And that's something which often doesn't get said enough. In reality, I would want to be a multi-millionaire that lives on a yacht because I'm just beautiful to look at like a male model. Not going to ever happen, right? So even though I say this is exactly where I want to be, it's not exactly where we all want to be. Sometimes you've got to swallow a pill, called the harsh truth, and say, well, it's not for me. And in some cases, people that maybe desperate to create and they've been trying for 10 years and they're not getting anywhere. Maybe they've had one or two little good things that have popped up and got off the radar. Sometimes, not to discourage anyone, because you can still make it your hobby and you can still have fun with it. But sometimes you've got to think, right, being pragmatic, like I'm guessing that it's not going to work out that way. But don't take that decision, until you've exhausted everything, and then you've still kept trying, and then I don't know. It's tricky.
It's really good advice. Really good advice.
No, really
no, it's really good. No, not at all. How important is it to be easy to work with?
It's the number one quality, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's the number one quality. I've turned or stopped working with many people that have a decent creation where they're just absolutely insufferable. They message 24/7. They want to know everything every day, all the time. They've never worked in a realm outside of the classroom. Some people, they've never officiated with people outside of some, and I get it. Some people are just gig magicians. That's all they've done since like 14 years old. They've gone out and gigged. You have to be able to communicate well. You don't have to be easy to work with, but you've got to have understanding and patience. And I think a lot of times people see like they want we live the MTV generation, right? The 5-second attention span. Everything's instant these days. Unfortunately, when you release a product, it is not instant. You can go off and learn magic now in minutes. You can become pretty damn good at magic within a couple of days because the instant technology is there. You haven't got to walk to the library. I'm going to buy books and wait for 3 weeks for them to come and then learn it all by hand and by eye from a book, which takes longer than learning by video. Everyone wants everything to be instant. You have to know that creating a product is a multi-month process.
Yeah,
it's very, 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 very rare you find a product that doesn't take months from start to finish, because that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it is. That's very true. That's very, very true.
So some people expect that they're going to have this idea and then they message. So we'll say, yeah, that's great. We're going to sign you up. Like everyone voted yes on the effect. Let's move into production. Let's start doing R&D, and then let's start doing into mass manufacturing. The R&D process can take like 2 months, to make it perfect. So, but some people think
I've been working with Murphy's on several things now for over a year, and we've had one thing come out. So that's a perfect example. Yeah,
exactly. So like the quantum, that was the pretty fast turnaround. That was,
yeah.
But the other things are, it's just because it's a lot. It's a big industry. There's a lot going on, a lot of projects. But yeah, if somebody, as long as like you know the game better than anyone, you know how it works. But some people don't get that, so they might have a half decent creation or a good creation. But if they're, some people you explain it to them and they go, "Oh shit, sorry, didn't realize."
Yeah.
Some people go, "I don't care." Well, turns out neither do we. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's one element to it. Another element to it.
Okay. And would you, if you were with all of your knowledge in the industry, if you left Murphy's now, which I know would never happen because you're happy as anything there. But if you left Murphy's tomorrow and you wanted to make your, and you didn't burn any bridges, so you could release stuff through them independently, and you wanted to, you were starting again from scratch, okay? But you've got all the knowledge and all of the abilities and all of the experience that you've got right now. But nobody knows who Lloyd Barnes is. You never worked for Ellusionist. You never worked for Murphy's. Enigma didn't exist. There's no Cognito or Acme Portable Hole or anything like that. There's literally just Lloyd Barnes, but you've got all of your experiences and everything. What would you do if you wanted to be a top creator? What process would you go through now? If you wanted to do it as possible.
Okay, just define top creator. Do you mean like working within the industry, or just everyone know who I am and everything? Whatever. Yeah.
If I'm creating.
Okay. Right. So, and if no one, not that anyone does, but if anyone, if like literally like I had like no followers on social media,
nobody knows who you are.
I would come up with 3 or 4 like killer effects, or like stuff that I would be really, really, really proud of, and I would send it to some social media guys and magicians for a start. I would just start sending it to anyone that I think would have not just a big following, but somebody that's good with a big following as well. There's a lot of people that have massive followings that are just rubbish, but there's some people that are fantastic, and so I'd probably start sending it to them, and hopefully they'd like it. Let's assume they liked it and they started putting it on social media. I would say I'm gonna continue basically to put the groundwork in and do a few more things. I'll create a few more things specifically for you, but I do want credited in the description or tagged in the video when it comes out, right? With that in mind, at the same time, I would then be building my social media profile and websites. And I'd be putting my original performances of my own effects on there of those things. And so when people are coming in, they're seeing that I'm the creator of these things and they're getting more and more recognition. And I would sort of start to develop a brand around it. So from my brand, from the original days, sort of still so much now, was slow motion visual magic. That was like my whole thing, where every trick I would try to put out or show on the channel would be always ultra visual, and most of the time slow motion. That was my thing. So, and it wasn't because I am obsessed with that, but it was also because I knew that other people were performing my magic. I wanted, when I had a new piece of magic come out, I wanted other people to watch, because not everyone's going to see me do it, but they would start to associate slow motion visuals with me, so that when they would see a new thing come out and they would see, oh, that's really slow. That's like a Lloyd Barnes type of trick. I suddenly become, what's the word, synonymous with it. So I'd brand myself. So that was one thing which, like, I haven't really spoken about that before, but it was something I consciously made an effort to do, so that when people would see my tricks, they would recognize my magic and my creations before even knowing it was me. And I think that really helped with my definition of my career and my brand identity of who I was. And because of that, then I became recognizable. My magic became recognizable, and people were looking to see what else would come from me. And then people would contact me, "Hey, I want my own creation trick. Hey, can you hire me on this TV show? Will you come and work for my TV show? Will you do your brand of magic for this? Will you do that?" La 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 la. And that's what it went. So that's kind of what I would do. I would discover what would be my, like, sort of my niche, my brand, what I want to focus in. And even if not every trick I would perform would have been a slow motion trick, I would try to, like, make that some sort of element of it. Other people like Mario the Maker, his brand of magic immediately when someone tells you. And if you've seen other people doing that stuff, you would say that's a Mario the Maker trick, right? And I think that was a fantastic bit of branding. Like, no, if it wasn't branding, but having that with him is great. So one way to get recognized is to make your entire brand recognizable. You see it anywhere and you know it. Like, I was talking to my wife about it yesterday. There's certain companies where you watch the television advert and you know exactly what company it is immediately, from like just the colors they use on screen and the camera and the lens choice. There was an advert for Coca-Cola, brand new. It came on screen and I was like, that's a Coca-Cola advert. They didn't even like have a drink in their hand. It was just, and I was like, how do you know that? So I explained it to her. Well, same with like Apple and other companies, when you because they like dairy milk in the UK, like purple color. branding and corporate identity, they call it, is such an important thing. And if you're trying to get recognized, then that's a really it's not crucial, but I think for me that's what drove my sort of recognition factor.
Wow.
like for example, you're super creative, but you create hardcore working material.
Yeah.
So I could recognize a Craig Petty trick in someone else's hands. And I think that's the sign of a good creator. Like Kyle Purnell, for example, does a lot of creative but gimmickless or impromptu magic that it's designed to look
It looks like it's gimmicks, but it's not.
It looks like it's gimmicks, but it's not. Exactly. So you can recognize, so it's fantastic again, right? It's this branding. You can recognize his magic in other people's hands. And that's what I think people are aware of it, but sometimes they're not consciously aware of it. And once you sort of, like I said earlier about like making goals for myself, once I actually like wrote down my goal, then I could chase it. Once people say, oh, okay, like I know I have my own style, but I didn't realize like this is the reason for it, then they can draw attention to it and then apply it in the real world.
Wow. That's exceptional advice, Lloyd. That really is.
I hope so. Sorry if it's not.
No, man, that's just that is just cool. That is just cool. I'm blown away by that.
I don't even know what the question was.
That is the best advice I've ever heard for, how to become a creator. It really is.
Thanks, dude. Yes, it's not always about just the creation. Like the creation's got to be good, but I think that's only like 10% of it,
And how about like how important is it to can you be a creator and not have that incredible release? Can you just be a kind of or do you have to have like do you know what I'm trying to say? Like
like journeyman.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself up there like with the big with the real like juggernauts of creation.
Well, who are the juggernauts of creation?
Paul Harris.
Yes, although like a lot of the stuff that Paul Harris created, pivotal for what we do now. But a lot of the stuff that he's created wouldn't be a product today.
No, I get that. You mean like, okay.
It's great for a book. Like these days, when you think creator, you think a huge product. And I know through Paul Harris releases, he's brought a lot of big products out, but a lot of them haven't been his. He's just helped bring them to market.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that he created in the day, Bizarre Twist, fantastic trick. Bizarre Vanish, fantastic trick. I can name a million Paul Harris tricks. Reset, that is brilliant. But if Paul Harris, if you didn't know who Paul Harris was and he came to you and said, hey, this trick, it's called Reset, the aces and the kings change places, you'd be like, yeah, that's a nice download.
Yeah, true. I mean, the difference between a product and a creator. I'm trying to think of the juggernauts of product creation, of product industry.
Because in my head, the person I think of, and maybe I'm wrong, I mean, you're more in this industry than I am, is Richard Sanders.
Yes, yeah. Someone like Richard Sanders is huge.
Because every time he brings something, it's every few years.
Yeah.
It's like
Garrett Thomas, for sure.
For example, yeah.
Greg Wilson. Justin Miller is another juggernaut. Danny Garcia.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know what the question. I can't remember what the question was, but
yeah, just who are the it was just like who would you say are the juggernauts of?
Yeah. It was something to do with like how would you get there now or something? Was it that, or how would you do it now?
Yeah,
I don't know, but those are like the big ones to me. But can you be a journeyman creator?
Yes,
can you just create? Yeah, of course you can. I think if you like,
I think that's what Jay Sankey has transitioned into. Like, and I don't mean that negatively towards Sankey.
No, maybe the word journeyman is incorrect. Maybe it's because Sankey established himself. Right? He doesn't need to prove him anything.
The stuff that he brings out now is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not set the world on fire great. But if you like Sankey's stuff, like I do, you're probably going to really enjoy it. Yeah,
because it's his brand. His brand. It's the same like Sankey. Like Sankey's magic in other people's hands. You can spot it a mile away. Even brand new stuff. You think that's very Jay Sankey.
Yeah.
He's had his. He probably will have more, but he's established himself. can you make it as an average? I mean, you could probably make a living off it, but you're not going to make a great living off it if you're just putting out mediocre material. You know, it's not about having that big product launch, but it's at least putting out material which doesn't look derivative. Like it has something exciting. Everything you put out should have something exciting about it or something interesting and new about it. And often people don't understand that. So again, if you look at all the products I've put out, there's always some interesting twist in there or something exciting, where a lot of people that keep putting the same old stuff out. Yeah, it might be a good trick, not like a great trick and a solid release, but it doesn't sometimes bring anything new to the table or nothing exciting. And with that, it's not so much that you're not creating a good trick or having a good product, because it will be a good product, but it's gonna sort of get lost in the white noise a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes. And I think,
and there is so much new stuff that comes out all the time these days, isn't there? I mean, like every single week, there's like multiple things coming out through Murphy's and also from independent places like Penguin and Alakazam, and the list goes on and on and on. There's so much stuff coming out all the time.
Yeah,
there's a lot. Some of the juggernauts from years gone by, would they still be as big now as they were back then? When again, Paul Harris, John Bannon, Dave Sankey, all of these people, when they released Magic back in the day and they made a name for themselves, there was not the level of Magic that was coming out as there is now.
Yeah. Now, I mean, all the Magic is based off a lot of stuff like that. You know what I mean? But we stand on the shoulders of giants. I do think a lot of it seems funny. Like it's like the Magic internet has grown up with us all. So years ago, slights would be instant downloads, and people would pay and buy the download thousands and thousands of times, where you could have the most innovative creative slight ever, and it doesn't have that same appeal anymore. I think it's because back then everyone was eager to learn everything they didn't know, because it was not accessible in times before the internet or the real explosion of the internet in the Magic realm. Now it's just a given that no matter what it is, it's more than likely out there somewhere and they can find it easier. And now, so that's why I think the shift to product heavy releases is the way to go, because it's tangible, it's physical. You can't just, if I wanted to, even a Sharpie, for example, if I wanted to get a Sharpie, I couldn't just Google it and expect to pull it out the screen. I'd have to pay for it, right? It's like the one thing you can't do with the internet is get something physical off the screen. Whereas secrets and things like that is information. And it's like there's no information that is secret or not available to get in multiple different ways online. So yeah, I think what you're saying is like some of that material that was gold or best selling years ago wouldn't be the same now. I think yes, but only because it was accessible and it is out there these days, if that makes kind of sense. But the world is changing. People are looking for different things. That's why the NETRIX is such a good platform, because it's a lot of information, but they're being fed it in a way which is digestible and easier to access in other ways, and super creative, and also like physical products. And the only way to get that is to buy it.
Yeah.
Which isn't really the answer to the question, which is, do you think some of those juggernauts would have the same success? No, some would have more success.
Yeah.
Some would have less, I think.
I'm going to ask one last question.
Go on.
Final question, because I know you're busy. You got to get a haircut. One final question. One final question. Do you ever worry that the ideas will dry up? Because your whole existence is based around creating magic. You're employed by Murphy's to work with creators, make their creations better, and creating magic for Murphy's. Your YouTube channel is based around creating magic. Do you ever sit there thinking, maybe what happens if I have a mental blank? I mean, it happens. Like
I've had it. I've had mental blanks. I went through a period of, I think, 12 months I used to work at a different magic company. The last year I was there, I was so miserable, I couldn't create. Not specifically because I was working at that company, but I wasn't happy. Because I wasn't happy, I couldn't create. But I wasn't worried because I've always got like a bank of tricks. You know, I've always got like a notebook with like hundreds and hundreds of fucking ridiculous amounts of ideas in. But my wife keeps saying this, what happens? Like, yeah, because like, you know, I pay the bills. Not I pay the bills, but like the roof over our head, you know, as family relies upon new magic ideas, new magic creations. I think if I ever stopped to think about it too hard, I'd probably psych myself out. But I love creating so much. Like creating is my pastime. It's like saying, would you whatever your hobby is, I don't know, it's like it's what I eat, sleep, breathe. Like I just love it. So I don't know if the ideas will be any good, but I can't stop the ideas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Can't stop them because it's what I do. Even like when I had that like time of like not creating, it wasn't that I wasn't creating, it's that I just wasn't bringing myself to the table to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully they don't, but maybe it's like sports, you know, people decline at a certain age and they don't want to, but they do, and they can't help it. I'm not going, and maybe none of my ideas are ever any good, and they have been, but I have fun making them. And
shut up. Stop.
But it's true. They're not for everyone, right? But yeah, hopefully it doesn't dry up.
I mean, let's be honest. Who carry a UV light around with you?
Mate, it can't justify it. That's for sure.
Can't justify it at all. Lloyd, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for jumping on the channel. This is when this goes out, you will be arriving in Vegas. This is going to go out on the Saturday. So you're going to be arriving in Vegas. Anybody who's at Magic Live, can they come over and speak to you about creativity?
Always. I just want to hang out with you all. Please come over, hang out with me and Craig. We'll probably be together most of the time.
Yeah.
Sit your bums on the seats next to us and just start jamming. That's all we do. Like we're not going to bite. We just love magic. Like that's all we want to do. So just come over and hang out. And that's it.
Absolutely. And if people aren't going to Magic Live and they want to get some advice off you, how can they reach out to you? Is it best to message you on Instagram or
go to my YouTube channel? Just search my name, Lloyd Barnes, LLOYD BARNES in YouTube. And I think I shall just pop up in the feed there, and then you can just contact me through. I think can you message?
Yeah, because your YouTube channel is incredible. Like incredible. Like it's a massive.
It's inspired by yours. Literally, we had a conversation a couple of months ago, and you were like, "This is what you need to do." I said, Craig, like I want to start doing more on YouTube. Like you inspire me so much, and you give me the formula. And I've never not listened to your advice.
Well, the student has surpassed the master because now you're killing me. So
no.
You're doing amazing. And honestly, and I understand why, because the stuff that you're putting on there is a masterclass in creativity. So if people are watching this and want to learn how to be more creative, they need to, because when you put a video up, it's not just, here's a trick that I did, here's how to make it. You talk through the process of how you made it and why you made it and why you did this and why you did that. And I think that's so valuable. And anyone that doesn't understand that and just goes, oh, it's exposure, they don't get it at all. You're creating tricks specifically to share with people on a platform that you're in charge of. And you're going through the process of it as well. It's such invaluable information.
Too kind, but well, thank you very much.
No
but really, people need to be watching your channel more, because this is where the real gold is.
Oh, no.
And actually, who we are about? We were talking about my channel, but yours. The NETRIX is where it's at. That's the real stuff.
Everybody needs to jump on the NETRIX. Well, you've put some stuff on there, some incredible stuff on there. So
yeah, go check it out.
Exactly. Lloyd, thank you so much. I really appreciate you jumping on the channel. I'm sure I'll speak to you in the next day or two. And yeah, if we don't see each other before, we'll see each other at Magic Live. So absolutely, Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby.
Guys, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, you can leave a comment for Lloyd down below. I'm sure he'll see it. Make sure you connect with him on Instagram and YouTube. Follow his YouTube channel, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye, everyone.